Alright, we're going to go through this wiring diagram here and try to convert it into a schematic diagram. I'm going to show you the way that I do it. Again, there's multiple ways of doing it. They're all pretty much the same, but yeah, whatever works for you, just keep doing that because it's obviously working. So here we have a 120 volt, it's kind of hard to see there, sorry. Try to focus it in. Okay, we have a 120 volt source. It's AC, obviously from the sine wave, right? We have a light. We have switch 1, switch 2, and switch 3. You can see that switch 1 and 3 are both three-way switches, and switch 2 is a four-way switch, right? One thing you need to look at when you're trying to convert a wiring diagram to a schematic diagram, you have two paths coming out of your source, and you're trying to figure out which path to follow first. When you look at a schematic diagram and the rules based on plans, you know the left-hand side of your schematic diagram is going to be your control devices, and the right-hand side is going to be your loads. And because we read top to bottom, left to right, we always start with the left-hand side going to the right-hand side. So we're always going to be coming to our control devices first. So when you're looking at your source, if I come out this way here, I come to a light. And a light is a load, and that's going to be on the right-hand side of my schematic diagram. And I come out here, and I go all the way over to switch 1. Well, that's a control device, and that means that I need to follow this path first to start drawing my schematic diagram. All right, so what I do, again, there's multiple different ways, is I just label it. Okay, I'm going to label this wire A, and it's going to go all the way over to switch 1. So that side is going to be A. So this wire here is A. Okay. So switch 1, the top one, I'm going to call B, and the bottom one I'll call C. Right. So this wire B here is going all the way over to switch 2. So I'm going to label that B, and this wire here is going all the way over to switch 2 also. I'm going to label that one C. And I'll call these ones D and E. D is going all the way over to switch 3 here. So I'm going to call that D. And then E is going all the way over to the same switch, but on the bottom side, so I'm going to call that guy E. And I'll call this one F, which is coming all the way up to my light. So that side there is F, and then the top side there I'll call G, coming back to my source, so G. Alright, so that's one way of doing it. You can also do color coding. You can color code each wire. You can use numbers, whatever you want to do works out. Okay, all doing the same thing though, right? So, starting off for my schematic, I know from my wiring diagram, under my source, I have conductor A coming all the way over to my single pole, my single pole double throw switch, three-way switch. So, I'm going to have a conductor coming over to a single pole double throw switch, right? And that switch is called switch 1. So switch 1. And that's called conductor A. Right? Now, the top part of that switch 1, I have B coming out, right? Coming to my switch 2, which is a four-way switch. Right? So I'm going to have a conductor coming out, right, to the top of my four-way switch. So I'll draw a four-way switch in here. Okay, and that conductor is called B. And then you can see here, the bottom of switch 1, that first switch there, it's going to the other side of switch 2. So I can just draw that guy in there and call it conductor C. Alright, and then from switch 2, the other side, I got D and E, so D on the top here and E on the bottom. I have D going all the way over to my second three-way switch. So D is going to be coming over to my second three-way switch. So I can label that D. And of course, E is also coming over to my three-way switch. So those are the travelers. So this guy is going to be E. Right? And this is my three-way switch here. Right? Then I have, so I came in there. Now on the other side, my common terminal of my second three-way switch is F. So that's F right there. And that's coming all the way to my light. So again, my light's going to be all the way over on my right-hand side of my schematic. right? And that's called L1, and that conductor is going to be labeled F based on it's right here, F going to my light. And the last one, we have G on the other side of my light going all the way back to my source, so that would be your identified. So my light going back to my source here, that would be G, right? And that would be your full schematic diagram. Now I should have at the very beginning, I probably should have done this. 120 volts AC, and that labeled L1 and ID, so we know this is the ID pole, and that's the L1 pole. But you get the point. I'm sure this is going to come back to you pretty quick. So that's how I do wiring diagrams. Don't let these super long lines twist around. They could wrap around the whole way here and be a mile long, but that conductor on a schematic diagram is only about an inch long, so don't let that intimidate you. So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. Let me know if you have any questions. I can try to help you out. Thanks for watching.